Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll be discussing two underhand tactics used by both Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez. Both of these tactics are not illegal in boxing, but were used to skew fights into their favour. This was done to lower their risk of losing once they had both become the biggest pay-per-view draw in the United States. This tactic relates to when they did and didn't fight their opponents. Mayweather and Canelo's records are littered with elite names, but both did similar avoidance tactics with their great rivals Manny Pacquiao and Gennady Golovkin. Floyd Mayweather ducked and avoided the Pacquiao fight when it most made sense, between 2008 and 2010, a period of time in which the two fought two common opponents, with Pacquiao taking less time to deal with both, knocking Oscar De La Hoya out in 8 rounds back in 2008. The year before, in 2007, De La Hoya had given Mayweather one of his toughest fights, with Mayweather winning by split decision. They both also knocked out Ricky Hatton in this period of time, Mayweather knocking him out in the 10th round, and Pacquiao knocking him out in the second. The Mayweather-Pacquiao fight instead took place in 2015, when both were in their late 30s and past their prime. Canelo similarly showed no interest in boxing Gennady Golovkin between 2013 and 2016, when Golovkin was in his prime and looked unstoppable. Canelo instead fought Golovkin in 2017, after Golovkin's fights with Kell Brook and Danny Jacobs, fights that exposed some of Golovkin's weaknesses, specifically with his defenses. The Kovalev fight was a similar situation, Canelo boxing Kovalev after his suspect performance against Anthony Yarde, a powerful athletic fighter who at the time was inexperienced at the top level. A hard fight for Kovalev that saw him in trouble in the 8th round, in Yarde's first top-level fight and some would say first competitive fight of his career. Canelo also showed no interest in boxing Billy Joe Saunders in 2018, following Saunders' impressive victory over David Lemieux. He wouldn't have been interested in boxing Saunders after this fight, as he had previously had trouble with slick and elusive southpaws earlier on in his career. Some examples of this are his narrow points victory over Austin Trout back in 2013, and his split decision victory over Erislandy Lara back in 2014, a fight many think Lara won. He instead elected to box Saunders in 2021 after Saunders had moved up to super middleweight and been relatively inactive, boxing once in 18 months leading up to the fight. Canelo also boxed Callum Smith when he was coming off a close fight with John Ryder, a fight in which Smith looked vulnerable to forward pressure from the short and stout Ryder. By the time of the fight, Smith had been out of the ring for close to 13 months. He also boxed Dmitry Bivol following 2 flat performances by the Russian, his points victories over Craig Richards and Umar Salamov. The most memorable time Floyd Mayweather used weight stipulations was against Canelo back in 2013. To make the fight, Canelo was forced to come down to 152 pounds, despite his last 6 fights being at 154 pounds and the 154 pound titles being on the line. The 2 pounds doesn't sound like much, but this definitely would have made the weight cut slightly more difficult for Canelo, who was already tight at 154. Canelo has also used weight stipulations to gain an advantage in his career, making Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. come down to a 164-pound catchweight for their fight back in 2017. Chavez Jr. hadn't boxed below 168 pounds since 2012. There was also a clause placed in the contract which meant Chavez Jr. would be fined $1 million for every pound he weighed over 164 if he missed weight. There was also a £10 rehydration clause in place for Canelo's 2018 fight with Rocky Fielding. This would have undoubtedly gave Canelo an advantage in this fight, as Fielding was a big super middleweight, standing at 6 feet 1 inches tall, and for his previous fights I'm sure he would have quickly rehydrated to back up above 178 pounds after weighing in at 168. But for the Canelo fight, he had to be 178 pounds or below the morning of fight day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.